Hey guys, I'm going to read chapter 17 from The Secret School. So when we ended chapter 16, the board voted that Ida could continue being the teacher and that they had 2 more weeks of school left before they took their exams. So let's see how those 2 weeks go. Nope, I paused, so I don't know. Anyway, the last 2 weeks of school were frantic. The students spent every day quizzing one another, going over recitations, phrasing sentences, working on penmanship. Ida thought announcing morning and afternoon recess. No one, except Herbert, took either recess. When lunchtime came, everyone ate inside. For Ida, it was a time of torment. She felt like yelling, "Let me study, it's my turn!" But her students, the younger ones in particular, kept asking for help. How could she refuse? She was the teacher. Hadn't Mr. Jordan said it was her responsibility? The day before the exams, Ida's head ached, painful from trying to remember everything. She could only assume everyone else was feeling the same. "Be on time, be on time," they kept calling to one another as they went their separate ways after school. "Herbert," Ida asked, "you are going to be here tomorrow?" The boy grinned. Maybe I will, maybe I won't," he said, walking away backwards. "Herbert," she said fiercely, "I want you to pass." He stopped. "You do?" "I want you to show everyone how smart you are." Just for a moment, Herbert's face turned sad. Then he grinned and winked and turned away, saying, "Never know with me." Tom walked up to the front of the old Ford. "Want to study together?" he asked. I think I'd do better at home," Ida said quickly. Seeing the flash of hurt on his face, she added, "Tom, I have to concentrate. I just can't do it if I'm not alone." She fairly raced the model team home. That night, Ida worked late into the evening, reading and rereading, trying to remember and review the whole year's work. When Flex came to her with his reader and asked for help, she begged him to go to one of their parents, and when he did, she felt so guilty, she went to help him, got frustrated, and then came back to her own work. Before she went to bed, she made sure her father promised to get her up earlier than usual. Then she read herself into a fitful sleep. That means she didn't sleep well. She had nightmares and tossed and turned all night. It was the day of the exam. Ida didn't need to be woken. She was already half awake at 4 o'clock in the morning. She read some more and then raced quickly to the barn. It was raining and the yard was muddy. In her haste, Ida slipped twice, banging her knees hard and muddying her clothes. "I can't do it," Ida said to herself as she milked Bluebell. "I had to help everybody else pass their exams. They mustn't fail. It's going to be my fault if they do. I'm responsible. I was the teacher." Ida had resisted tears for so long, but now, exhausted and wore out, she finally let them come. The deep, racking sobs were loud enough to cause the cows to turn around and see what was happening. Ashamed, Ida pushed her face against Bluebell's belly, dried her tears with the hem of her nightgown, and then finished milking. Composing herself, she carefully brought the full bucket into the kitchen. "What's the matter, Ida?" her mother asked. Ida shook her head. "Nothing," she said. Miss Bison continued to stare at her. "Yes, there is," she persisted. "You've been crying." "Mom, I'm so tired." "Look at me." "Don't want to." "Honey, I need to tell you something. Your pa and I are very proud of you. You've worked very hard." "Ma, I keep remembering what Mr. Jordan said. Girls don't need to go to high school." "Only shows that some grown-ups could use some schooling themselves." Ida smiled and gave her mother a quick hug, then climbed into the loft to change her clothes. She started to put up her hair, as she had been doing every morning since she began being the teacher, and then she remembered she didn't need to anymore. "I'm a student again," she muttered. "Come on, get dressed," she told Flex as she woke him. "Can't be late for exam day, it's raining. Wear your slicker, the road's gonna be bad." They left a little early, Flex taking his place among the pedal and Ida clutching the steering wheel with 2 hands. Both their parents waved them off, calling good luck. As Ida and Flex drove along, the rain was still coming down hard, making it difficult to see. The windowless doors meant that they were getting wet, too. Besides, Ida's head was so full of facts and figures she had a hard time concentrating on the road. "Ida," Flex called up from where they were about halfway along their journey. "What's the matter?" "Nothing." "You think we're going to fail, don't you?" "You're going to do fine." "What?" "Flex," Ida snapped, "I'm trying to think about my own test." She wiped the rainwater off of her face. "Do you think you'll fail?" "Stop talking to me," Ida yelled at him. She pulled down the gas lever. The car accelerated faster than Ida expected. "Brake! Brake!" she yelled. Frightened by the alarm in Ida's voice, Flex shoved down the brake pedal with both hands. The wheels locked and the car skidded, and Ida spun the wheel. Too late. The car slid into the ditch. The motor backfired and died. "What happened?" Flex said. "We've gone off the road," Ida said, horrified. Ida sat there, leaning on the wheel, too numb to do anything. Flex crawled up in the seat next to her. "Ida?" he asked cautiously as he tried to peer outside. "How far are we from school?" "I don't know," Ida said. "Halfway, maybe." "What are we gonna do?" "Walk, I suppose." "We gonna miss our exams?" Ida said nothing. "Are we?" "Probably." "But we have to do something," Flex cried. Ida peered out through the windshield. It was so spotted with leaves and mud that she couldn't see anything. Suddenly, a face appeared outside the door. Flex and Ida jumped. Tom, his hair plastered down with rain, was standing there. Mary was by his side. "What are you doing?" Tom asked, grinning. "Playing hooky." Ida didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "Want a lift?" Tom said. "I'm pretty sure old Ruckus can carry all of us." They were the last ones to get to school, but Miss Sagewick had not arrived yet. The rain had probably delayed her too. Ida looked around. Natasha had lit the lamps. Herbert started the fire. The room was neat, save for a few muddy footprints on the floor. "Thank you, everyone. Let's take our seats." Ida went to the teacher's desk and made sure the sharpened pencils were ready and the blackboard was clean and supplied with chalk. There was a knock on the door. Flex ran to open it. It was Miss Sagewick. This time, aside from her purse, she carried a briefcase and an umbrella. "May I come in, Miss Bison?" she asked. "Yes, please, and today I'm just Ida." Miss Sagewick looked at Ida's wet hair and smiled. "Have you been swimming again?" she asked. "The rain," Ida said lamely. "My car ran off the road. Tom and Mary had to rescue us." "Oh, dear," said Miss Sagewick. "Can you still take your exams?" "I want to," Flex said. "Me too," said Ida. Miss Sagewick smiled broadly and then said, "Well, we had best begin. Tom, is that your name?" "Yes, ma'am." "As the day progresses, I'd like you to keep the fire going." Ida went to her old place on the bench next to Tom. He gave her an encouraging smile. Feeling very tense, Ida tried to smile back, but barely succeeded. Miss Sagewick opened a briefcase. "There are 2 parts to your exam," she announced to the students. "There's the written section," she held up some little booklets, "and then there's the recitations and the board exam. When I call your name, please close your test books completely and come forward to the desk to do your exercises. I'll start with the younger ones and work my way up." "I see your teacher, Miss Bison, has some pencils ready for you. Excellent. Now, children, I've put each of your names on the cover of the proper test booklet. Please look to make sure that you have your own," she said as she passed them out. When everything was ready, she took a handbell from her bag. "When I ring this, begin. When I ring it again, we'll take rest, recess, and so forth. Now," she rang the bell. "Begin." The children opened their booklets. Natasha and Tom immediately began writing. Taking a deep breath, Ida quickly leafed through her booklet. The table of contents listed exams in writing, reading, spelling, grammar, arithmetic, geography, U.S. history, and science. Ida then opened the book at random and came upon geography. The first question: compare South America to North America in terms of size, shape, principal product, and population. Ida's stomach lurched. Miss Sagewick called Flex Bison. "Please come forward and let me hear your ABCs." Nervously, Ida turned to the arithmetic. The first question was: a farmer hired a man and a boy at The farmer hired a man and a boy at a yearly expense of $480. The man received $25 a month. What part of the $480 did the boy receive? Ida groaned inwardly and then looked around the room. By the teacher's desk, Flex was reciting the alphabet in a long sing-song. Everyone else was bent over their tests. I could hear the soft scratching of pencils and the rub of erasers. Her damp hair made her scalp itch. Panic gripped. She was wasting precious time. You have to pass, she scolded herself. You must start. Pick up a pencil. She turned to the front of the booklet. Reading. Choose a poem you have learned this year from your reader. Provide the title, the author, the date of his or her birth, and if such is the case, his or her death. Write out all the stanzas of the poem. Then write a brief essay as to why the poem is important to you. I can do that, Ida thought. With enormous relief, she began to write. The day seemed to race by. Even though the rain had stopped by morning recess, no one wanted to be out for longer than a stretch and a drink of water. Lunch was much the same. Food was bolted, not eaten. After lunch, Mary and Flex went to play outside because their tests were finished. The others continued. At 2:30 in the afternoon, Miss Sedgwick rang a bell. "Half an hour," she informed them. "Check your work." Then, 5 minutes. Make sure your name is on everything. Finally, the last bell. "Please write your post box number under your name of your booklet's front cover," she instructed. That done, Miss Sedgwick collected the booklets and packed them away. "How will we know if we passed?" Ida asked her. "I shall start grading them tomorrow. When I have finished them all, you'll be informed by mail." She offered an encouraging smile and left. Ida went up to the teacher's desk. Everyone was looking at her. In all her life, she had never felt so drained. "I guess that's that," she said. "Thank you for working so hard. I'm sure everybody passed." The children, too tired to say anything, filed outside. After everyone had left, Ida remained, looking over the schoolroom, empty. It seemed so strange without students. She wasn't sure what she felt most, sad or weary. Taking up her father's clock and sheepskin from the desk drawer, as well as her lunch pail from the Gore's wardrobe, Ida walked outside. Tom was waiting along with Mary and Flex. "How'd you do?" Tom asked Ida as she closed the door behind her. "I don't know," she confessed. Then she looked more cheerfully at the three of them. They seemed very somber. "Is something the matter?" She asked. Tom grinned. "Thought maybe you'd want us to help you pull your car out of the mud." All right, that's the end of chapter 17. I'll read 18 tomorrow. Bye.